and I wasn't seeing all of the gains that I really wanted to see. I went to the doctor, I got diagnosed with SIBO. She said, well, we could try low FODMAP. It's just another tool in your tool belt. And I almost cried when she said that because AIP at the time was just so hard. I couldn't imagine doing more eliminations. Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode of Health Impaired, Health Inspired. In this video, we're going to discuss the low FODMAP diet. And I am really excited to talk about this with you, but at the same time, I'm a little daunted because even though I've actually done the diet and I know a fair amount about it, there's just so much information to relay. So I have this all written down on a handy list. Please forgive me as I refer to this a lot. I don't want to mess it up. FODMAP, FODMAP, stands for fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols. I don't actually know that I'm saying that right, but from what I know based on organic chemistry, that is how that's pronounced. These are all types of short chain carbohydrates or like more complex sugars. And for a lot of folks, they can't digest these foods very well. So a lot of folks with digestive issues will try the low FODMAP diet to restrict higher FODMAPs and to heal their gut. And so this is highly recommended for conditions like IBS, Crohn's, and it can help with folks who have been diagnosed with Candida and SIBO and gut permeability or leaky gut. Likewise, I find that it helps with people who just generally struggle with gas, bloating, and diarrhea. All of these issues, it's so interesting, isn't it? There's like dozens of different conditions out there besides Crohn's and IBS. I mean, there's like celiac, there's so many conditions that link to your gut and a lot of them go undiagnosed for years. It might be worth it if you're having some of these symptoms to just try the diet. And that's why I was led to it. I actually was on the AIP diet or the autoimmune paleo diet, and I wasn't seeing all of the gains that I really wanted to see. I went to the doctor, I got diagnosed with SIBO. It wasn't that simple, but I did get diagnosed with small intestine bacterial overgrowth. And she said, well, we could try low FODMAP. It's just another tool in your tool belt. And I almost cried when she said that because AIP at the time was just so hard. I couldn't imagine doing more eliminations. In fact, if you are thinking of doing 2 different elimination diets at the same time, I highly recommend coordinating that with a doctor, like working with a health professional or a dietitian that can help with that, because it is, first of all, just so hard to navigate by yourself and disheartening at times, but second of all, potentially dangerous. You can actually find yourself with serious nutrient deficiencies. So you want to make sure on any of these diets that you are watching your vitamin levels and getting tested for these things and working with a healthcare professional. That being said, there are 6 different chemical compounds that fall under the FODMAP umbrella. If you were to go into an app that I have that I highly recommend, it's called the Monash app, MONASH. The Monash app is basically a really, really good resource for people that are trying to do low FODMAP. Not only do they have an exhaustive list of foods and how much of each food you can have, they also have tons of information about reintroduction, and I mean, it just goes on and on and on. They're there with you every step of the way. I think they even have like recipes or like meal plans in there for you, but I couldn't follow them because I was trying to do AIP as well as low FODMAP, but there are tons of resources there. So when you pull that up and you pull up any food, let's say you want to look up broccoli, it's going to show you these 6 compounds, the different types of FODMAPs. And so the first one on the list is fructose. And as you can imagine, you've probably heard this before. Fructose is found in a lot of fruits. Mangoes. One of the fruits that contains fructose would be mangoes. Fructose is also found in honey and agave syrup, agave nectar. And a lot of products will list glucose or fructose on them. If that is listed, you should avoid it because it has fructose in it. Fructose is found in a lot of other fruits, but I'm going to lump some of these in with sorbitol because sorbitol has an overlap a lot of times. So one of the other chemical compounds that is on the list would be sorbitol. There are some fruits like blackberries and plums that contain sorbitol. And then as far as fructose and sorbitol are concerned, apples, cherries, and pears are just some of the fruits that have both. And this is actually really common. There are a lot of foods that when you're looking them up on the Monash app, they have overlap into multiple places. And that just means that you're more likely to have issues with it. I mean, simple as that. And then another chemical compound that is found in FODMAP foods would be lactose. I think that this is another one that most people will be familiar with because a lot of folks are lactose intolerant, meaning you shouldn't have dairy. And almost everything that has lactose is considered dairy. There are a handful of dairy items that do not have lactose in them or have low enough amounts that you can have a safe serving. So definitely check out the Monash app if you want to know more. GOS. I did not write down what that stands for, but it's a specific type of oligosaccharides. And it's often lumped in with the fructans or fructans. I actually don't know how that's pronounced. Fructan, fructans. That's how I like to say it. I sound very like Southern or Midwestern or something when I say like fructans, right? I am from the sort of middle of the US. So anyway, the GOS chemical is found in beans and legumes. That's almost everything on the list, including soy, and certain pastas, I guess, are on that list. I don't know the details about that. You maybe just want to check. Fructans involve things like kombucha, garlic, onions, ripe bananas, broccoli. I thought cauliflower was in this list, but I looked it up. I don't think it is. Broccoli is on the list though. And surprisingly, wheat bread, like wheat. So this is where a lot of folks get kind of confused because they think that you have to go gluten-free if you're on the diet. I don't think technically you have to go gluten-free if you're on this diet, but because wheat is the source of almost all gluten, I think that's why a lot of folks just end up going gluten-free. So that's something to think about. There are some foods that overlap GOS and fructans, and that includes hummus, tahini, rye bread, and soy flour. But I'm assuming that's because there's some overlap between the two groups. I mean, for example, hummus has tahini in it. It's got chickpeas, which are part of the GOS group. I don't know, but that's the list that include both. The last chemical compound on my list is mannitol. This includes a real mod podge of things. This is like such a varied thing. Like it's not one group of things. I don't know. It includes watermelon, peaches, button mushrooms, cauliflower, celery, and sweet potatoes, just to name a few. Mannitol is found in just a ton of stuff, and it's really unpredictable what it's in. So definitely when you are trying to figure out this diet, it really, really helps to have the Monash app and to be able to look up every single food item and see what it is that you can have. Something else I will say that's really different about this diet, and it really, really threw me for a loop when I first tried it, is that you can have small amounts of some things. For example, even though sweet potato contains mannitol, you can have it in small amounts. There is a safe serving size that is considered low FODMAP. However, if you eat too much of it, you could experience symptoms. And so the app will show you with a green color what is safe. And then if you have any of these 6 compounds in the yellow or the red, you should avoid that in the elimination phase of this diet. And then eventually, when you're feeling better and you feel like you're healing, you can do a reintroduction. I believe that the full elimination is supposed to be followed for 2 weeks minimum. And then reintroduction happens in 3-day increments. And it took me a little digging to find this, and I still didn't get all the answers I needed. I needed to do a really fast reintroduction because it was so hard to eliminate all those foods at one time. But basically the idea is that you would take certain foods and you would eat a slightly larger amount than what is considered safe, and then you would work your way up into increasing amounts of that food. So you move from a safe serving size to a higher serving size, creating a high FODMAP situation for that food, and then you just kind of keep a food journal and see how you do. If you experience symptoms like I did with major bloating and gas and just abdominal cramping and pain, then that is a food that you should avoid or keep to the low FODMAP serving. Some of the foods on my list that did not work out for me include onions, garlic, broccoli, cauliflower, and zucchini, which zucchini is actually a fructan as well. I don't think I put it on my list, but it's a fructan. And it actually took me a while to discover some of these because I wasn't eating enough of them to notice I had an issue. You know, take it or leave it how you do this. I mean, you can do the 3-day increments if you want to. I basically introduced a bunch of fructans at once, and I didn't do like increasing amounts. I just kind of went like with a high FODMAP serving to see if it gave me problems. And that worked okay for me, but I think that you should follow the recommendations unless you are working with a healthcare professional. And in fact, it's a good idea to do that anyway. I know I've mentioned this about 7 times already, but the Monash app was extremely helpful. It did cost a little bit of money, but I highly recommend it. The Monash University website is also a great resource, and you can find a lot of information there. But this is, again, just another tool in your tool belt. If you've tried AIP and you feel like you're not doing well, you're not healing, your gut is still leaky, and you're just, you know, you're not seeing all the gains and improvements that you want, this is just one more thing that you can try. So I hope that this is helpful to you. I hope that you feel well informed. And if you like this video, please click the like button and subscribe, and check out my channel to find more videos that you can watch about diets and things that you can try to improve your health. Hope that you guys have a great day. Thanks for joining.